What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to my 10th anniversary special of Worth a Watch with me, Anthony Flores. Oh boy, 10 years have come and gone. In terms of YouTube years, that feels like more like 20. 2018, last year in particular, losing my partnership and a slew of other problems that arose. A very frustrating year, especially for my YouTube video days. It began to become more frustrating than enjoyable. But when I took a step back and when I really kind of promised myself maybe to do like one video a month, I feel like that's kind of like where I've been at. And I feel good. And I always feel like there's that little feeling in the back of my head that I kind of want to make a video every so often. I don't want to stop completely, like I've mentioned before, but I always feel that this is going to be a part of me. And YouTube has been a big part of me because a random guy like myself on the internet who have over 300 subscribers is an amazing thing. For those of you who just subscribed, for anybody who's stuck with me for a little while now, maybe it's for a couple weeks, a few months, a couple years, thank you. From the humblest little portion of my heart, thank you. It's just a very, honest to God, it's just a very humbling feeling that 300 people managed to click a little button and just say, you know what, I'll give this guy a shot and I'll check out his stuff. And you stay subscribed. That is just something that just blows my mind every day. I wanted to do something different, something that I have never done before. And most people think with a list like this, and I know nobody's going to watch this, I just know that a lot of people don't really watch these types of videos from me. But one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do this is not just for you watching, but for me. I wanted to see how much I've grown and how much movies have affected me over the years. And this list is not just so much just my all-time favorites. This list is a movie list that has defined me, that has shaped me and has molded my humor, my sense of emotions and stuff like, all things like that. These experiences that I had countless times over and over, whether I watched them in the theater, watched them on a VHS tape, watched them on a DVD, Blu-ray, streaming, whatever, and I go back and repeat viewings and feel something. There's so much to them that I'm happy that I feel so much from these movies here on this list. And there's so many more, but I, of course, really wanted to push it down to just the 10, and from there, this is it. Number 10. Not only is this one of the coolest and most badass vehicles ever put to the screen, even though the DeLorean itself sucks ass from what I can understand, the vehicle itself gave us so much wonder and adventure when it came to the adventures of Doc Brown and Marty McFly, and that of course is Back to the Future. I feel that that movie in particular gave me that sense of adventure, that intensity, the rush of going to just having to get things done, this timeline events, these whole time travel elements just blew my mind, and the performances from Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown and Michael J. Fox as Marty, you fell in love with these characters and you wanted to see them succeed, get to time and get what they had to do and get out, and just so much more about time travel and the elements of it. It's one of the best trilogies ever made. Robert Zemeckis' direction, Steven Spielberg's help with the production, and just all the people in front and behind the camera for all these films in general. Just truly, just a damn great adventure / science fiction film. Next up is a movie that I'm pretty sure most people will be like, this is on the list? Why? This little movie just makes me laugh and crack up every time I see it, and I can't help it. I quote it all the time. I think it's one of the most underappreciated works from Mel Brooks, period. And that is Dracula Dead and Loving It. I'm drinking wine and I'm eating chicken. I love just the parody of the Dracula story, over the top comedy and parody to it all. I feel that there's not much else to say other than it is a parody of the Dracula story. And I think Mel Brooks, while he did make a classic such as Young Frankenstein, and that was very much an homage and love letter to those movies, this was definitely more of his own parody versus an homage that Young Frankenstein was. And I feel that, I don't know, it just makes me laugh harder and more often. And I don't know, there's just something about the atmosphere to the movie, just the overall performance from the late Leslie Nielsen, Peter McNichol as Renfield, and just all the other characters that are thrown in and out of the mix of the movie. I just love it all, and it's just instantly quotable for me, and it helped me discover Mel Brooks, because it was my first ever Mel Brooks movie that I saw. So for some people, you may think, oh my god, that's so sad, but no, I'm very happy, and I love it so much, and I think it's vastly underappreciated. Number 8 on my list is a bit of a tag team duo. I cheated a little bit with this one, but these are just two I couldn't separate. They both have equal impacts on me, it feels like, in terms of the horror genre, and that is the Scream and Saw franchise here. I feel that these movies in particular kind of paved the way for me to just go into more horror-based films. I'll get to more of that later on in the video, but when it comes to actual horror and thriller films, these are definitely part of the reason why I got there and why I was able to appreciate them. But also that it's more than just blood and gore or just kills and stuff like that. These movies had a sense of humor, in particular the Scream franchise. They had a self-awareness and meta-humor to them. They had this sense of knowing the insanity that it's in, but at the same time paying homage to it or making fun of it or whatever. And with some great characters within Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox, all the way through 4 movies together with those people and their characters, and seeing what is going to happen next. It was the intensity, the fun, and over-the-top kills and craziness that happened within that franchise, which definitely made me appreciate a lot of Wes Craven's work. And then within the Saw franchise, I know a lot of people hate this franchise, and I personally feel I can acknowledge the flaws, a lot of the ups and downs that this franchise had, but I feel that a lot of it helped me understand that there's more to just, again, it's more than blood and gore as well. There's a lot of psychologically driven ideas and commentary, philosophy through the character of John Kramer, aka Jigsaw. And Tobin Bell is a big reason why that franchise has succeeded. And Lee Winnell and James Wan, the creators of this franchise, I mean, they paved the way to even become even bigger parts of the horror genre and science fiction and action and slew of other things that they've done. And both these franchises helped me love the horror genre and what else they could honestly be more of. They're just damn great franchises, and I've enjoyed both of them equally. It was tough to kind of leave one out or the other, but both of them impacted me in a lot of ways. Scream definitely had a lot of great meta humor that I enjoyed. The philosophy and the ideas of psychology throughout the Saw franchise definitely, as a person who's interested in the subject of psychology, I appreciate that even more so from that franchise as well. So yeah, just right smack dab in the middle for me there in that number 8 spot. Number 7, Robocop. Even got my little Robocop right here. Peter Weller and Nancy Allen and a lot of other amazing actors and people in front and behind the camera made one hell of a film in terms of performances and story that was so much more. A man who got blown to bits comes back as a robot due to scientists wanting to create a program to make essentially Robocops. That's where the title comes in. And then that robot slowly but surely realizing he was once human. That is something where it's a lot more depth than it ever needed to be. What the script was able to do, it's got some damn great 80s action and over-the-top zaniness to it, and I'm forever appreciative for it. Number 6 is my favorite Disney film, and this is arguably the funniest Disney movie ever made, and that is The Emperor's New Groove. I feel that this movie in particular, whether it's David Spade's Emperor Kuzco or Patrick Warburton's Kronk, and the late Eartha Kitt as the titular villain, Yzma, and even John Goodman as the everyman, Pacha. Whether it's just the quotes or just llama face. My spinach buffs. See that guy today, talk about blue. This movie made me laugh to tears as a kid. I remember seeing it in the theater. And it just makes me laugh to this day. It just showed me what fast-paced humor can do within an animated film. And while there's definitely other shows and movies I saw that were funny and they had their moments, but this, with the love of the characters and just the actors involved, it just hit all the right notes for me, and just the rapid-paced humor and just everything about it, and the musical numbers and everything. It's just so well animated, fast paced, and funny. So, yeah, it's great. Number 5, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Unfortunately, you can't see it on my display, but it's down here. All my Scott Pilgrim stuff is right down here. I have the whole graphic novel series. I know it's ridiculously hipster to some extent, but I love it. I think it's one of the most great cult classics at this point, because a lot of people have begun to figure out it's a great movie, and they have midnight screening. Been to a couple myself, and just it's just so fascinating what Edgar Wright could do with some comic book property. And the man clearly had a vision, and with Brian Lee O'Malley's work, I mean, granted, a lot of the characters are very unlikable, but they're the most likable characters ever, and they're just so fun to watch, and just seeing all the crazy action set pieces happen right in front of your eyes, integrating 8-bit animation style / video game styles, and it is just, there's so much to this. Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim is definitely a character, not just Michael Cera just doing Michael Cera stuff. There's actually some moments where I'm like, you know what? That's actually acting, not just Michael Cera turning on autopilot. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona Flowers, Kieran Culkin as Wallace, Sex Bomb, all the actors that portray those characters in particular, Knives Chow, Anna Kendrick and Aubrey Plaza too as well, and Brie Larson in one of her first roles. Then of course you got Captain America and Superman themselves. Oh my god, there's just so much insanity, so much lunacy, but at the same time, Edgar Wright found a way to help plant this in some form of reality and just make it work. It's so much fun, it's so much insanity and badass action, great references to video games, comic books, and just pop culture in general. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Wow. Number 4, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. This little movie right here made me appreciate black and white films. Back then, I was one of the only kids that knew who Abbott and Costello were, and I'm pretty sure I'm one of the few people that gives a shit about them now. They're one of the best comedy duos to have ever graced the movie screens, and rightly so. I feel that their humor and rapid-fire wit and slapstick and wordplay and just, it's so much more to their comedy than it's just slapstick. A lot of people claim these movies to be nothing more than dumb, just, you know, kind of Three Stooges stuff. Whoop, 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 whoop. No, it's so much more than that. There's some of that, but there's a lot of fun stories to be told. But this movie was my first experience with Universal horror, and seeing these particular monsters come to life and kind of frighten our main characters of Abbott and Costello in the film. Just all these classic one-liners, and just there's just so much to enjoy. And I remember reviewing this movie for Halloween month years ago, and yeah, it's just a classic that shouldn't be missed. I think it's definitely, again, it's one of those movies that's been kind of forgotten, but I highly recommend you check it out. If you enjoy horror comedies, it's definitely something to see, regardless if it's black and white or maybe some bits of outdated humor. But again, it's such a different spectacle to have seen that back in the day, where these very big, larger-than-life characters in the horror genre met arguably the most famous duo of comedy at the time. So that must have been just like mind-blowing to have seen that, I believe, in the 1950s when this movie was released. So it definitely defined some of my humor, and it defined my moments of seeing Universal monsters for the first time. So yeah, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, it's definitely up there. Number 3 is Another Damn Tie. I couldn't do it, and as you can see, yeah, Batman Returns and Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker both have equal impacts within my love of Batman, and and just my overall experience with both sides of the live action side and the animated side of Batman. I enjoyed the animated series as much as the next kid, but growing up a little bit and getting to see Batman Beyond take over for a little bit, and seeing that, and seeing the horrific story of what played out in this film, seeing the entire ensemble of cast of characters from the original show come back for this one movie, going through the events we all know what happened, and the death of the Joker and the dealings of Robin and just his torture scenes, and all these other terrifying moments. And then seeing the uncut version as well, that was also pretty terrifying to see that version. When I was definitely a bit older, seeing that, I was just like, wow. It's brutal, and it is one of the most haunting moments within the Batman animated series. Paul Dini and Bruce Timm and so many other people helped make the animated series what it was and what it is till today, and them continuing on with Batman Beyond. Will Friedle and Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill's performances here as well. Just phenomenal work. I can never say enough about the film. And then moving on to the live action side of things, Batman Returns was one of the first Batman, I think it was honestly the first Batman movie I saw that was live action. And it disturbed me and scared me. I didn't see it all the way through again. I'm a scaredy cat, you know. And looking at it now, literally thinking about it and enjoying it year after year, especially around Christmas time, because it's a Christmas movie, I feel it's just wonderfully represented through the eyes of Tim Burton. The first film was definitely more of a Batman film. This is definitely a Tim Burton film that happens to have Batman in it. And for that, I'm so much more appreciative, because he got to go a little bit deeper and a little darker with his storylines and what he was able to do with like the Penguin character and Catwoman's character. And of course, going a little bit darker with Bruce's story, trying to battle himself. Maybe a possible choice of love, but sadly their identities and what they were trying to conceal from each other and who they are, those in-depth relationships help define more about Catwoman and Batman's relationship. And of course you have Christopher Walken just gonna kill people. He's gonna go crazy. Ow. Gonna kill Batman. Yeah, Christopher Walken's great in this as well. What's up with the eyebrows, though? I never understood it. And from there, I just feel that Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Keaton, and like I mentioned, Christopher Walken, what an ensemble right there. And so much is to be appreciated from me in particular. That between the Batman animated series and then this film, Batman Returns, they define my ideal Batman for me. Whether it's Kevin Conroy's Batman or Michael Keaton's Batman, I adore them both, and they define my views of Batman. All these universes that they created. That is why I could not break them apart. And I know some people could say, why not Mask of the Phantasm? It's a great film. It's very dark and brooding and depressing, and I enjoy it a lot for what it is. But to be honest, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker kind of hit me more. So there's that little tidbit if you were wondering why not Mask of the Phantasm being here instead. Number 2, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Me and my buddy Daniel did a podcast on this actually in The Fans Guide to Animation. You haven't heard of it? It's a cool podcast, all things animation. Feel free to check it out on iTunes and our website and all that stuff. Advertisements, yay! And this movie is so near and dear to my heart. I've mentioned and spoken of it. I've talked about it endlessly. This right here is actually the very copy. It's worn out to bits. The sticker's fallen off there, and it's worn out to just... I'm pretty sure it doesn't work well, because I remember it was pretty much fucked up back then. This is my original copy. This movie helped me understand a lot about, I think, just more of the storytelling ideas in general, and just a lot of the twists and turns within the mystery genre and noir and everything about this, as well as my love of animation and cartoons, and seeing the awe and wonder that cartoons could be real, and just they can actually come out and just like hang out with you, and just go from Toontown to just going in your city, your neighborhood, your home, whatever. It blew my mind as a kid, seeing how such realism and attention to detail was done within this film. And as a kid who loved cartoons so much and loved all these characters, and seeing Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse together, Donald Duck and Daffy Duck together, and a slew of other amazing cartoon characters that have never been together since, it was truly a special film that is sadly never happened again. And of course, the late Bob Hoskins, like his performance here, Christopher Lloyd's performance as Judge Doom, in the same vein of Back to the Future. I mean, that gave me a lot of awe and wonderment for adventure in the time travel aspects of things. this film gave me that awe and wonder of what if cartoons were real? What if they actually were alive with us? That would be amazing and cool. It's just a damn near perfect film, and I enjoy it so much. I just appreciate it is what I'm trying to say, and for its technical aspect, for its just attention to detail and wonderful story and mystery and all around understanding performances from all the characters, and it's just a movie I'll never forget. Number one. Do I really need to say it? I guess, yeah. Ghostbusters. For the love of God, all things Ghostbusters. I don't even know where to begin with this. I just love it. It's a damn masterpiece of comedy. Sure, it's one of the most popular and culturally relevant movies ever, but you know, it's my list. So it's not some crazy cool indie secret hipster movie. I'm sorry. It's this movie, along with Abbott and Costello, helped me again not be afraid. It helped me not be so scared of everything sometimes, especially within horror films, and just things that scared me in general. That's why it's such a big deal to me, why I was always afraid a lot, and these movies helped me see behind the curtain, if you will, that there is scary stuff, but there can be comedy. There could be laughs, not so much just frightening moments that scare you and make you stay awake at night. There's these moments, and this is where I'm going to get a little deep here. Sorry. But as a kid, as I said, I was very terrified of a lot of things, and I was a very anxious kid. And to be honest, I'm a very anxious person. But as a kid, a lot of these little things would bug me, and a lot of these things, especially scary films that my dad would happen to watch, and they would terrify me. But when I saw movies like Abbott and Costello, Meet Frankenstein, or Dracula Dead and Loving It, or in this case, Ghostbusters, there can be not so scary stuff behind the curtain. There could be funny stuff. There could be interesting ideas. There could be the fact that you could actually stop ghosts and catch them and just do some cool stuff with your brain there and be scientists and just all this other stuff. There's so much to appreciate about this movie, but those are the more personal reasons for me. For most movie fans, a lot of people, of course, point to the script, and that was written by Dan Aykroyd and the late Harold Ramis, and the performances from Bill Murray and Ramis and Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, and a slew of other people, or the memorable little characters, you know, Slimer, Stay Puft, and just in the cartoon series, and so many amazing things that came from this franchise. But that is why it's my favorite film of all time. And also, I wish I had a photo. I was a Ghostbuster for 3 years in a row. I had the little jumpsuit and everything, and my dad made me a little pin and little emblems and stuff like that for my little jumpsuit that I made back then. I was proud to be a Ghostbuster, and I still, at heart, I guess I could say I am. I like to think I am. And it's even more awesome to see like regions of Ghostbusters planted out everywhere. And that's amazing. And it's amazing what the film has done, and it makes me all the more appreciative for this fandom. I just enjoy it all for the most part. And yeah, it's a damn great franchise. It's a damn great movie, a masterpiece of comedy, and it's something that helped me feel a little less afraid of things. And those are my top 10 movies that define me, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. This is very raw and simple, no crazy edits, nothing. I wanted to make this as straightforward as I could for this special. I've done this for 10 years. Here's to 10 more. Thank you for sticking around, and thank you for watching. And I'm Anthony Flotis with Worth a Watch, and keep going to the movies.